All right, everyone. We start off today with the airing of grievances. Yes, Festivus comes early this year. The abhorrence, the utter depravity of the so-called child protective system that doesn't protect kids, so-called psychiatry, which is basically monkey science, and the so-called justice system, which is completely unjust. I've had my run-ins with these three demons myself, and they're not the good kind of demons either. Many others have had the same problem. I have an individual who I'm in contact with. I'm not going to name any names, who just had a run-in with CPS. Well, they didn't, but somebody associated with them did. And they took away several children from them. And now they can go into foster care and be neglected. And, they basically rinse and repeat. This happens all the time. CPS does not protect children, for example. Um, they certainly didn't protect me when I was young. And this is a very personal story, so if I get emotional, please, please understand. When I was very young, I displayed sexual behavior. Now, this is just because I'm a sexual person, and there's nothing wrong with that. And the school psychiatrist thought I was being sexually abused, and presumptively by my parents. Now, this never happened, but they groomed me actually into claiming that. They made me feel guilty for the fact that I was, messing around with the girls and stuff like that. They made me feel guilty for it. And so naturally, as a defensive mechanism, I'm like, well, yeah, yeah, my mom taught me this and shit like that. They take little kids and they try to get them, they're like inquisitors. They try to get them to confess to other people's crimes as a defensive mechanism to protect themselves. And this happens all the time. Oh, I've got so many goddamn stories from so many goddamn people who have gone through the same thing. My parents never did jack shit to me. It never happened. And I told the lawyer this afterwards once I realized the ramifications of, what was happening. I was like, that never happened. And, because my parents were good parents, have always been better than average, that's for sure. But they believed me when I said, "Hey, my parents diddled me," basically, or something to that effect. But they never believed me, and this is the funny part. Neither the court nor CPS believed me when I said, "Hey, that didn't happen. Hey, I was lying." Because the school psychiatrist was basically goading me into saying this and made me feel guilty. So CPS doesn't really protect kids. And if you see the conditions in some of those foster homes, the threshold for becoming a foster mother or father or whatever must be really goddamn low, honestly. First dude that I was in foster with was this old dude with a big beard, and he couldn't cook scrambled eggs properly, by the way. He kept him way too wet, but I ate him anyway. Who told me that if I left the room at night, the dog would get me, basically. And I was terrified because I was afraid of dogs when I was a young child. And he did apologize the next day, but he's like, "Well, I'm sorry, you shouldn't have said that." But it was just a thing. That's number one. Psychiatry. Psychiatry is bullshit. There is no set standard other than criminal insanity, I suppose. There is no set standard for what is normative. It does not exist. A person has OCD, so before they go to bed at night, they touch every corner in their room. Are they harming anyone? No. Is it a compulsion? Yes. Are they insane? No, they've just got a compulsion. It has nothing to do with insanity. They're not a criminal or anything like that. You talk about ADHD. Yeah, okay, so you like to hyper focus on something or you like to stim yourself and shit like that. Again, how is society harmed by this? You look at a laundry list of the rich and famous. How many of those people are sane by normal standards? Virtually none of them. They have autism, they're narcissists, They've got delusions and stuff like that. That's what makes them great. That's the whole point. But they're rich and they're famous. If you take someone who is not rich and famous and you give them the same disorder, all of a sudden they need to go and see a shrink. Psychiatry is junk science. It's absolutely meaningless. Now, can a therapist help you through aspects of your personality that may be holding you back? Maybe it's something that is deleterious to yourself or those around you. Absolutely. Is this psychology or psychiatry in general, or is that not the norm, but a rare case? It's a rare case. That's unfortunate. Mostly what shrinks do is convince you that you're wrong and that the things you're doing are unacceptable, even if you're just doing what you want, and things of that nature. They'll find reasons why you are sick effectively in the head and then give you a bunch of pills and shit like that. And they do this because then you'll come back and visit them again and give them more money. It's nothing more than a money-making operation. It's very, very clear and easy to see if a person is a lunatic or severely mentally ill to the point where they're a threat to themselves or others, or deleterious to themselves and others, or whether they're just eccentric. But oftentimes that's based on how much money they make. For example, Elon Musk, richest man in the world. Do you think that this man is mentally normal? I mean, he fucked Grimes for Christ's sake. He's not mentally normal. That's what makes him exceptional. It's not a bad thing. To be abnormal is actually good. What's the norm? Norm, I put on my suit. I drink my glass of coffee and grab a donut. I go to the office, come back, boring and stale and shit like that. I come back to my wallflower wife, and she's cooked a bland meal for me, and then I sit there, I play video games for a couple hours maybe, and we watch a rerun of Seinfeld, and then we fall asleep, and obviously not having sex at that point. That's what's considered normal. Well, that doesn't sound like very much fun to me. I would like to have a fun life. Now, let's get to the so-called justice system. The so-called justice system is completely unjust. You can get overcharged with a crime, you can get charged with something you didn't do, and still get found guilty of it. And the prison conditions are not particularly great, so I strongly suggest that you just pretend to be a normie. Yes, the justice system, look at how it's worked, for example, for Donald Trump. Did the justice system work for him and for many people associated with him? No, it was politically motivated and a bunch of bullshit the entire time. They went after Rudy Giuliani, who is still free, I will, by the way, opine, and many others, simply because they were associated with someone that they were trying to witch hunt. The justice system is basically, if you're poor, you're going to get a public defender who is additionally poor and who has 20,000 other fucking cases on the docket to defend and not enough time in the day to really consult you. Even if you have a reasonable amount of money and you can afford a private lawyer, by the way, in many cases, good luck doing so. They've got a lot on their docket too. Even if you do that, you can still get fucked in the court. Even if you've done absolutely nothing wrong. It happens all the time. Like when I was in jail in Orleans Parish, when I looked around at that room, at all of the people in it, I felt sad because I thought to myself, a lot of these people, really, they didn't do anything wrong. They're not guilty of any crime. Oh, you've been charged with assault, but you were defending yourself. You got charged with drug possession. Well, fucking, who cares? And things like that. A lot of the people in there fundamentally were innocent. They didn't do anything wrong at all. They didn't do they either broke a non-crime, like again, drug possession or some stupid shit like that, or they were falsely accused of maybe domestic violence or something like that, assault. Could be, they got falsely accused of carjacking and they weren't even in the area at the time, but they still got arrested. This happens on a regular basis within the so-called justice system. Then again, you have the overcharging, you have lawyers that don't do their job in some cases. Again, a lot of public defenders don't have a great deal of experience. They're doing it pro bono for a reason, and so on and so on forth. So they'll put you in jail if you didn't do anything wrong, but then somebody else skates and doesn't get put in jail, even though they did a lot of wrong, simply because they happen to be, again, rich and powerful, well connected, things like that. Why do you think that Ghislaine Maxwell is in a low security facility right now with a tennis court? That's all you have to ask yourself. That's the justice system. If you were to traffic a bunch of minors to other people, unless you're an illegal immigrant, then until recently that was okay. You would get the book thrown at you. You'd be in prison for the rest of your life. And it wouldn't be a low security facility. It wouldn't be one of these posh federal prisons either. It would be something a little bit more intense than that, with people who will smack their lips at you and say, fresh meat and shit like that. Ghislaine Maxwell doesn't have to worry about that. She's the one smacking her lips and saying fresh meat to all of the 18-year-olds that end up in the low security women's facility. So, all three of these are abhorrent to me. CPS does not protect children. Psychiatry does not heal your mental scars or help you in any meaningful way. And the justice system is completely unjust. Isn't that wonderful? Just an indicator of my beliefs with regards to parts of the system. Now, I've got much more to talk about later as well, because basically every other part of the system sucks too. And just look at the IRS, for example. That's about all. Peace out.